constantly changing, and in an area that is particularly obvious, and not only because of the economy and the liberalism and so on, but also because of course, of the electronic means that have changed the way information circulates today and is affecting, of course, postal offices. And on the other hand, Helgard presented mainly two projects of Rimini protocol, and that gave us a sense that that collective is very much working about also globalization, of course, as Marika, maybe trying to play with the potential absurdity of it. And my first question goes to Helgard. Is precisely, could we say that Rimini protocol is trying to underline those absurdities mainly at the center of your work in a way?
Underline maybe absurdity, but I think it's more about making it obvious or establish a situation where you can feel it. That's maybe more it. Like, create situations, create forms that you can actually experience it and transform it. Like the call center, I mean, it is absurd how on the one side of the planet people are working at night to sell things to people and pretend they're close by, and to take this apart again. Like take the same technique, establish the same situation, but then use it for a conversation and tell everything about, what is actually the difference between those two positions, instead of like neglecting or instead of erasing the differences.
Actually, I have a question for Marika. I wanted to thank both of you also for these very interesting presentations. And I found the structure of your performative lecture extremely interesting. You were mixing up official text from this corporate language that you'll be working on. And at the same time, you were also voicing the workers, the postal workers' position in the other texts. Where would you see your work? And I wanted to ask you if you can tell us more about where your artistic position is in that work.
Well, I can say that this work began out of some kind of necessity, because as I said, I found this to be a really fantastic workplace, or I was like, wow, does this place still exist? Can people, be people and be treated like good and work for a company? And then all this was torn apart in front of my eyes, and I saw this people that were going to retire in 2 years, and suddenly they have to totally switch tasks in the job, and they they don't know what to do. They are totally stressed out and everything, and so I just felt that I need to address it somehow, but I can say that I'm still working in the post. I will go back there on Monday. I don't work there all the time, but I come back, and this coming back with a distance in between make me also see the changes. And what has happened today is that you get used to it. People get used to it, and it's not the same. It is not, because maybe there was this moment of dread, and that was about 2008 or something, where people felt like, oh my God, this is falling apart. There will be nothing for me or for us soon. And then now we are like, okay, it's going on, another reorganization, and people are laughing, and they say, but they talk also often about the good old times in the post. Still, every day I hear, that's not how it was before, and it's a really nostalgia that is present there. I don't know, maybe that was not exactly, but there was this.
That was absolutely that, but I was thinking also about the wooden pieces that you showed in the end, and when you said that you wanted also to like incorporate and make more permanent these volatile sentences that you find on the internet through your labor work. So this is, can you tell something more about this choice you made?
Yeah, because obviously all these archives are open for anyone. You can go into postnl.com and you can read all their press releases, as I did, but it's not so common that you do that. I mean, so I decided to really, have read through all the press releases and the annual reports and try to find these small, because it's, it's something that cuts through, that everything is positive, blah, 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 and then there is this line about that we're going to fire everybody on a full-time contract. And what I wanted was to, catch those and to really make them tangible and to make them expose what they are really talking about. And I think when they are, in this case, I violate the sentences, right? Because I don't tell you where they come from or exactly, but it's for your imagination, like whom they are talking about or what specific context. And then I think also the fact of spending time with them also is like a certain contemplation. And I think, I don't know how it is now when it's shown here again, like projected, but I think there is something with this kind of time that I invested in them that also changes this thing. And half of it comes from interviews with the postal workers, and these are voices that, I mean, of course they made their voice heard also through demonstrations, through the union, and so on and so forth. But to bring these voices together like this, because I didn't show this, but it was like 40 pieces, and they are like, on the wall, and you never know really like who is speaking about what and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, more than a question, I think I have a observation, and your work makes me think, I mean, both works, but mostly Marika's work is about this idea, and you had touched on it earlier today, about this idea that in an overflow of information, the role of the artist could be to make things visible. And I think that's interesting that you decide to bring attention to a specific group of words or specific sentence. And in that sense, to me, it comes down very often to a clever selection of words. And I guess that's probably your comment on new technology, but please stop me if I'm wrong. So even if both of you, I think, deal with some kind of critique of globalized liberalism, what interests me more in this practice is how it actually becomes an art object. And I think Federica was also asking, how do you translate this in your artistic practice back to the commodified world? Because in the end, you make sculptures. I think that's very interesting too. I don't know if you want to comment on that.
I was wondering also if at the end your work is not mainly about language rather than anything else.
It is for. Yeah, it is a lot about language, or has been lately at least. Yeah. I don't know what more to say about it. But yeah,
Do you have? I don't know if somebody in the audience have seen some of the Rimini Protocol plays that have been in Lausanne and Geneva, at least, probably also, yeah, of course, Zurich. Kegi is Swiss, by the way, one of the three. Do you have another question, or shall we pass to the audience? Any question? Where's the microphone? Helgard, would you like to talk maybe about a third project? I think you intended to do that, and maybe you can talk a little bit about.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe not a third, but maybe we can continue talking about what I when I saw your presentation or the work, and now looking for maybe similar strategies or different. I think one important word is insisting. Like insisting in being somewhere, observing, as you said, observing a factory and what is going on instead, as not only like invading, but first of all insisting in looking at something, and that's definitely something I would underline for my work as well, being there and yeah, insisting in using this or insisting in transmitting this somehow. And yeah, looking for possibilities like together, information, statements, seeing like what is maybe a big structure of a company and what is an individual biography. Or I really like the picture of the people in the club, like how do they meet? Like so often in enterprises they have sport clubs or I don't know, barbecue events or things that take something of the enterprise into private life. And it's so important, like after work when they retire, that they often keep on, or we once did a project on Sabina, a Belgium flight company, airline, thank you, a Belgian airline company that got bankrupt, and we work with people that used to be in this enterprise, and they were always saying it was my family. So that the company first of all managed to really take their lives, like make them feel their life is actually taking place in the company. It's not outside in your family or in your whatever private lives, but it's in the company. And then it was not clear, or they were just very, very unfair in announcing the cut only very radically. So they didn't like gradually announce it and found solutions, but they actually sent their people home and said, go home and listen to the news, and there you will find out what happens to your family. So they lost their family, but they kept on keeping these clubs, for example. So they still have a soccer team for Sabina. They're still playing chess in the old constellations of how they actually were linked to the company. And I think that's something really interesting to observe and see, like what is a structure of a company and what is official announcement here, and news and politics of information politics, and what is this inter-social, like structures of clubs and meetings, and how do people deal with it afterwards, and where do they find again like possibilities to express it or forget it. So, as a
comment. I totally agree, but the thing is now, for example, with this post in Netherlands, that what they are managing is to totally create an environment where it's impossible to create a community, because you don't know who are your colleagues, right? So you are a worker, but you have no contact with the bosses or with the colleagues. So you go there once a day and then you go home again, and you are, it's really... And this is also how none of these people in the new, these part-time workers are members of the unions, or barely like 1% or something. And the old people is like 80% member of the union. So, you know, it's really, it changes not only on the private level, but on a bigger level also.
Thank you very much. Are there some questions now? Yes, Rafael.
Just a comment on Marika's lecture. I was stunned by the fact that in this marketing speech, exactly the kind of skills and things came up that you had found before these people got into the companies. So it was the exact perversion in the language of what happened before. just as a comment.
Yeah, no, it's really absurd when you begin to look at it, actually, and it's this kind of situation where no one knows what is happening, kind of. And in the end, what is causing it is the system or the current economical situation or whatever, you know. So the bosses in the office, they are like, we don't know. And higher up, they don't know. And then what we read is this is how it's spoken about. But it's like violence that's happening, kind of, you know. And I mean, the Post is still a good working place. That's not what I'm saying, but yeah.
You still work there. Other questions?
It's not really a question, it's just an observation. I hadn't thought of this before, but how, say, Sabina created families and community, and obviously, you know, the whole mining industry had the same, also shut down really quickly. And it struck me how, actually, you know, my family, I live in one country, my family is another country, my grandmother is in another country, my friends. My family is built through Facebook, basically, which is another company that holds all other companies and all private lives. And yeah, I don't know. It just occurred to me, so maybe it's interesting to think about. Oh no.
Another question or comment?
Hi, this question is for Marika. I was wondering to which degree your artistic research or your criticism affect the atmosphere in the office, because you say you still work there. And yeah, how do your colleagues react on that?
Well, then I can let you know that they don't know about it.
Okay.
Or some of them do. A few of them have been to exhibitions that I've made, but since I'm kind of still working on it and I'm going to make a book soon, I try to stay undercover.
As a spy.
You know, I didn't go there in order to spy. As I began working there, and 3 years later, I began making work about it. So no, when they ask me, so what kind of art do you do? I make installations and different things. But in Holland, of course, they knew that I was making a research program, research project about it.
Just say you work on language.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was wondering, because the two pieces that you showed us, Helgard, were not really implying an audience as we intended in theater plays. Could you maybe talk a little bit how you play also with the audience when you present a show? Because it's not usual theater with a scene and an audience that is passively watching. It's much more complicated.
Yeah, both projects I presented, it's actually, there is no audience anymore. The audience member needs to participate in situation rooms. They have to climb ladders, they have to change the rooms, they have to follow these films. It's maybe an appointment with the audience. Like, of course, there's sometimes people just don't know what they should expect. Maybe they get a ticket and somebody just tells them to go there. So there is, of course, there is a form of surprise there as well. For Kolkata in a Box, not so much, because you had to book your personal slot. So you had to call, you had to say, okay, I want to come to the show on Wednesday at 4. and then see if there is a slot available or not. For situation rooms, we still find people that are sort of surprised because suddenly they have an iPad in their hand and they get a headphone, and then they find themselves standing in the front of a door and open the door and then they're in. But that kind of being drawn into a situation or different situations, that's what it's about. That's what the play is about, and what we wanted to find or develop, that you are like caught in a situation that is always new, as like I didn't really tell about like the whole mechanic, the whole house is it's like a spook house. It jumps after 7 minutes, it resets, so all the clocks reset, all the light situation reset, all the objects reset, and so on. So you find yourself in a moment of transition at the end of a position where the last film brought you to, and then there's a moment of reset, and then you're in the next situation again, and you can't really sit down and consume or reflect, but you have to react and act all the time. So it's a reenactment of the things and stories as well, what people left there as an inheritance maybe. And that's of course different to proper or well-made like stage production. We do this as well. So like for a change, I like as well doing or using this constellation, using this appointment of there's a focus on stage and there's an audience that listens, and the concentration of that situation. But for those two, or for the works that are more in that field, I really enjoy to vanish these separations of audience and performer, and really make it be one, or just make somebody get into it, and then after 1.5 hours it's finished, and then those people take off the headphones and they take down the iPads, and then it sort of takes a while. That you digest the stories. I mean, they're very tough stories as well about lives on the other side or on either side of a gun. So yeah, and then it's time for digesting and talking about it. And then often people say, okay, they would like to do it one more time, actually, and then see more of it, or use it more like as their own installation and own theater play.
Thank you very much. Is there one last question maybe?
How did you find the stories for the gun piece?
Well, it's not so much finding the stories, but the people. So we cast what we call experts, and that's what we don't say they are actors, but we say they come without a background of an actor or actresses, but they come and perform their own life. For situation rooms, like always, we have a long time where we simply research, like we follow advices of people, we talk to journalists, we decided on roles, like we wanted somebody, like a manager. That was the hardest person to find, of course, somebody who is actually into a company, selling it and developing defense systems. It's not a weapon there anymore. It's a defense system. We decided on positions, like we wanted to have a surgeon, so we asked institutional, like Doctors Without Borders, for example. We had interviews there, then decided on one conflict zone for this doctor, saying okay, that's on Sierra Leone. We followed many traces, and then tried to find a balanced cast of 20 people, where it's not only people that say okay, what we know anyway, weapons are evil, but we wanted to have people that are ambivalent, and we wanted people to have proactive people that say in a world, there's no world without weapons and we have to sell them. Then at least we are the ones that make the money. So we wanted to have those voices, and it took us a long time to find the participants. But it was really, really interesting. Often when people see that show, they can't believe that those 20 people were actually in the building. So we had all these characters there. And they were doing the films. They were shooting the films. So they had to live there as well and have lunch break together and coffee break together and start discussing and start exchanging their thoughts, which was really very interesting to see.
Then I have another question. How long did it take for the project to fully come to
Fully
fruition?
2 years. But it was like we started building the house and then until the final shooting was 3 months. But everything before, like preparation, planning, constructing, and finding people was the time before this. And altogether, like from developing the idea, the concept, to finalizing it was really 2 years.